Immortals Fenyx Rising is Ubisoft Quebec's big new project, and the studio's first new IP in over a decade. Fresh off Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the Canadian team transformed its love for ancient Greek mythology into a whole new world for protagonist Fenyx to journey through. Immortals itself has also experienced quite the journey, and we spoke to creative director Scott Phillips to learn more about the creation of this new universe and its evolution from its original title of Gods and Monsters to Immortals Fenyx Rising.
For me, the first memory I have of what would eventually become Immortals Fenyx Rising was a bug on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you'd be sailing on your ship, but instead of your human crew, you ended up having Cyclopses as your crew. So you had all these, giant creatures. And it was just sort of one of those, the light goes off moments, like, oh, wow, yeah, that'd be really cool actually to do a full game focused on this mythology. I think early on, we came onto a phrase that I think still continues now to be true, is that we wanted the journey to be as challenging and rewarding as the end destination. So we wanted everything that you do along the way to get to some place to be fun, exciting, challenging, interesting, and that's where bringing in stamina, making the exploration of the world a bit more uncertain. We don't give you as much information. We want you to explore and be sort of uncertain about, like, okay, can I climb that? Am I going to be able to get up there? Can I fight that creature? I don't see if I'm level 5 and he's level 8, so I need to sort of figure out my own rules and develop my own rules for how the world works. And that was a philosophy that we carried throughout the entire game that changed, the traversal to the fight to the puzzles as well, which was a whole new aspect for us. Something that, there were some people on the team that had Prince of Persia experience, but as a global entity, the directors and the team didn't have a ton of experience. But we felt really confident that this was a way to separate ourselves, to make it something unique and different.
With stamina and puzzle solving being key parts of the gameplay loop, it's easy to draw parallels to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Immortals even has puzzle dungeons called Vaults of Tartarus, which are like Zelda's shrines. Philip says that Zelda, and more importantly, its idea of the hero's journey, has had an influence on Immortals.
I mean, I don't think you can really be a gamer and say that you don't like Zelda, or you haven't played a Zelda, at least. I remember playing the original Zelda on my NES 30 years ago. Zelda, Lord of the Rings, all of these sort of Dungeons and Dragons, all of these things that have fantasy and being a hero and finding the sword and saving the world. They're all these elements that come into play for Immortals Fenyx Rising as well, and we wanted to give a fresh take on that by really binding ourselves to Greek mythology and bringing that into the 21st century.
All of these elements were part of the game when it was revealed at Ubisoft's E3 conference in 2019. Back then, it was known as Gods and Monsters, and had a slightly more Pixar-like quality to its art style. It was set to be released the following February, but a long delay meant that Ubisoft Quebec had many months to improve and iterate on what it had created. This led to many new features, the most notable being a refreshed art style and a new name.
Visually, we wanted to add more details. Having more time, you can really look at, okay, how can we make everything consistent, raise the quality bar everywhere? And then on the gameplay side, a lot of it was adding quality, adding variation to enemy attacks. That's sort of one of those things that's just sort of a production capacity thing. You make as many attacks as you possibly can for an enemy to make them as varied and as interesting to face at the early levels and at the late stages of the game as well, and to add more bosses, add more variety. We've got legendary creatures and world bosses and these wraiths that are these fallen heroes of ancient Greece. So we really expanded on the variety. On the narrative side, we wanted to change the framing of the narrative with the narrators. So we wanted to go with two characters that could sort of oppose each other. In a way, it's almost like a sportscaster. You've got the guy that's calling the shots, calling the play-by-play, but then you've got the color commentator, which is, Prometheus is the play-by-play, and then Zeus is the color commentator, making things fun and interesting and unique. And so that sort of reframed the overall tone a bit. It changed that, and it put more focus on Fenyx as well. And so that's where, like, the name change comes from. We wanted to promote Fenyx and Fenyx's journey with the gods that's the centerpiece, that's the core and heart of the game. The description for me of the tone that's worked the best and made me understand it very quickly was that it's ancient Greek Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's lighthearted interpersonal interactions. It can be fun, it can be very light, but the stakes of the universe are on the line, and everything could be destroyed if you fail. So it's that great interplay that I think makes the game special. The player character we've defined better and made them much more varied with more options for you to customize your own Phoenix. But yeah, I think the core and the heart of the game were there at E3 2019. It's just expanded and improved since then.
For more Immortals Fenyx Rising, check out one of these other videos, and stick with IGN for more exclusive interviews and details.